What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we're going over the Heidel ball recap. I was watching this live. It was at 2:30 in the morning Eastern time, and I took some notes, but on Reddit the mod put up a nice TLDR and we're gonna go talk about it. I think this is a nice format, so we're just gonna talk about this in order and give you basically a recap of what's happening. So if you want to read this, I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can read this post yourself. But anyway, with that said, here's what's coming up, and I'll give you my opinions on everything. So first few things that they listed was quality of life, like UI changes and, pop-ups, which I think should be defaulted to off. And in my other videos, I always talked about my settings and everything, and I was like, these should be off by default for new players because no one needs to see it. Even as an endgame player, you don't really need to see it either. So the fact that they are cleaning up the UI and especially like the rare drops and all this stuff just not on by default is always a good thing. And, disable guild enhancement pop-ups, like all of those Tuvala things that no one needs to see anymore. I think that's amazing. With that said, world map UI, show all your alts on the world map. That's cool. And improvement UI, knowledge and everything. And event UI, when things start and end, always good. I think a lot of this is actually good. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, bottom right, there are codes, the big codes for Cron Stones, fail stacks, and a bunch of other stuff. We'll do another video of me enhancing and doing huge enhancing sesh for that one, so expect that soon. So yeah, these are all updated on when these are going to happen, so I think that's a good roadmap to follow. And next we have buff UI showing details of all the sources affecting the running buff, which you just hover over it right now and then that kind of tells you what things do. So if it makes the UI buff bar longer and better, that's fantastic. All right, enhancement UI. New enhancement inventory, family-wide store Cron Stones, Valks, fail stacks, all in one place. This is actually a good thing because for me, I always just have a dedicated enhancing character. All my fail stacks are there, and the fact that they're moving it all in one is actually a very good thing. So yeah, that's a good thing. UI revamp and terminology update. Yeah, that enhancing across the board needs to be reworked, so that's good. Okay, new player support and other quality of life. Tuvala accessories won't fail below try, just like armor. That just helps new players, fantastic. If you are playing before July 2nd, I've always had a couple seasonal videos on how to enhance Tuvala, but I guess if you're starting new, I think now is a good time to start, but as of next week, if you're doing accessories, it just won't fail. So if you have the patience, hold on to enhancing Tuvala stuff until the patch next week. Otherwise, the way you do it is like go in increments of 10 stacks and going up. So like 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 stack for Tuvala from Pry to Pen, and then Hex to Deck is a different story. All right, 10 billion silver support fund after graduation for new players, slowly getting through the quests and content. That's pretty big, actually. 10 billion for a new player. That's like a couple upgrades, to be honest. Retry boss blitz level anytime you want. Easier to help clear body boss blitz July 16. Ataraxian dagger now drop from the boss instead of quest rewards for skipping to the boss. Yeah, these are things that I think I heard them talking about a while ago. They're trying to improve, Ataraxian and other stuff, but I think all of this is more for seasonal and newer players because they have they're making quality of life improvements for the rest of us on non-seasons easier. Olvia redesign is Olvia School, just, world quality updates, new beginning area in the future. Yeah, so you know how when you start the game, you have 3 choices, even though only one of them is really the better one for new players. I'm glad they're redesigning it. All right, so this is a mid-game update. So for people who have been playing the game, not necessarily new, but you know, you're just not like at the end game yet. Preset for most content. This is probably one of the things that people have been asking for the longest time. You know, like presets for all your things, just click everything all in one. That's amazing. Remove the Carolyn buff and other Amity buff. The Carolyn buff is actually a sad change because that one is the crit damage. Unless they're giving us something, you know, to replace that in the future, like 10% crit buff is actually really nice, to be honest. You know, instead of removing it, what I would have done is added this to like a church buff and make it 1 hour. So what, unless they're doing something to revamp it, removing it was just not a good change, to be honest. Adventure log, you only need to complete the Igor adventure log for all stats award. You know, like this is actually probably one of the biggest changes, because doing all the adventure logs has got to be one of the worst and most tedious things to do unless you enjoy questing. But yeah, to make people not spend like, you know, another 50 hours doing all this, you just all in one, which is, I think, a good thing. Definitely helps all the newer players coming into the game and just cuts that time down from like 50 to 100 hours to do everything to like maybe less than 5. So yeah, this is probably one of the best changes ever. And special title for other adventure logs, I think that's a fair exchange. Life skillers. Life skilling didn't really get too many updates, to be honest. Neither did PvP, really. But, you know, a seed pouch for 50 starting at skilled 1. Can't make seeds stackable for now. This is the thing with hoe gathering. You know how your inventory, when you hit the green thumb or whatever they call it, the proc where you get like 40 seeds that don't sell? Yeah, all you want is the stackable one, but they store more farming seeds. I mean, this is a temporary fix, but literally the fix is to make it stackable. Use alt character energy to roll worker from contract UI. I think this is a good thing instead of having to be on the other character. I actually thought you could use the other characters by default. Apparently not, but you can in the future. Remove silver embroider clothes except for trading and farmer. The only one that mattered was trading because it gives weight limit. Everything else is replaced by monos across the board. And as an endgame player, I can tell you that one. Farmer, because there is no monos farmer. So yeah, I think these two are the only important ones. Silver embroider is actually... Let me show you in game. Let me pop this up real quick. Okay, so for cooking, I actually do use 2 of them. So like this one because it gives the XP, and then this one because of mastery. So if you cook, you basically use this one for the XP if you're trying to power level it. However, when you do turn-ins, I do mastery, imperial delivery, and everything. So I think cooking, you actually do use both of them, but if you're lazy and you just have monos, I mean, ultimately it's fine. But if you're just trying to power level your cooking, there's that. So that said, let's go back. Dawn crystal slot for pre-owned accessories. Oh, Lord have mercy. Like life skill, I'm glad you're getting this, but at the same time, I have main gear to work on. So like, it's just a huge time-consuming sink, but I think that's okay. Increased base processing success rate. I'm gonna be honest, like as much as that's a good thing, when you AFK process, you want it to go a little bit longer than like, you know, faster. But maybe that's just me. I think this is overall a good thing. So with that said, decent updates, nothing particularly new, but I mean, Less skilling didn't really get too many changes, like no new activities, just quality of life. And I don't really know why they removed it, but I guess it kind of makes sense because they're kind of outdated, except for the 2 ones. I wish they kept a cooking one as well, maybe alchemy, but I mean, probably fine, realistically. Outfit storage, dressing room for the future. XL Patrigio bag. I think the dressing room is actually kind of nice because my inventory is full of like those Patrigio boxes for all the costumes that I think I like. Every other game has a wardrobe. Took Perlibus like 10 years to come out with one, so maybe in the future that'll be really nice to see. XL Patrigio bag, 40 slots for your outfit. Yeah, I mean, that's good. Obtained via loyalties. Sure. Merv's bag. Remove the old Patrigio bag obtainability and outfit swappability. I think if they're coming out with a dressing room, this is probably fine to remove them, because right now what we already have is all this stuff. Can still use Patrigio bag for storage, but if they're making improvements for better and removing the old ones, I think that's fine. If they're just removing it, that's not fine. All right, Maid can set a Maid as any class. Customize your Maid via Pearl Shop. Use the Maid as default. Do people actually look at that? I guess this is I'm not really sure. Whatever. Can name it and chat with the Maid in the future utilizing AI. Lord have mercy, brother. What is happening? Okay, well, I think what they saw was Final Fantasy. You know how what they call it in that game is called a retainer. They sell stuff for you. Basically, they like you could talk to them, send them out on missions and whatever. I assume that's what they want to do for Black Desert and have them be like interactable, but this is kind of weird. It's like, sure, I guess people who don't have friends can talk to their Maid. That's kind of wild to me, but you know, it is what it is. I don't really particularly care, but it's just a wild thing to read. Naval Node War, Blue Battlefield. Bro, this is what I have been waiting for like 5 years. Remember how I told this story multiple times of how, for all of us who have the Valor Carrack, and we used to boat PvP. I told this story a while ago, I'm not going to tell it again. But basically, we all just wanted to do something with our boat. And the fact that they're going to be doing stuff for the ocean is actually good. So 20 member cap. I understand not a lot of people enjoy sailing. That's fine. If the member cap is 20, sure, whatever. Stat reduction to all ships. Why? Dude, like, you know, the entry for this should be a Carrack. Whether you have blue gear or not, the entry should like be a Carrack. No need for stat removement. Can't repair ships during battle. I think that's probably fine in certain scenarios, simply because, you know, like, you know, it should be about skill and not how many repair kits you're holding. So yeah, I think that's fine. No sailor penalty when ship is destroyed. I mean, there should not be any penalties for PvP. So more damage to your ship, Carrack, or like your tank unit, galleon, your glass cannon unit, 6 days a week like normal Node War. I like this part. I'm glad that they have multiple varieties of like boat PvP. I definitely want to try it because I got the Valor boat like 5 years ago for this reason, and now we get to do it. Rewards are stat crystal rerolls and yellow, red sea crystals. That's good, actually. And endgame update for all of us who are at the endgame. A new treasure item based on scenery activated regardless of your grind spot. Only available for 300 AP. Dude, everyone has like 300 plus AP these days. It's like the norm. Scenery items drop from their respective zones. I don't know what that means particularly, but similar changes to Agris on grind spot. Can pursue a treasure item in solo instead of parties. More ways to obtain it in the future. We're gonna have to learn more about that when they talk about it, but it seems like a cool idea. Alchemy Stone Enhanced Revamp. Remember how this is something I've talked about in other videos too. Reduced to 6th level and only yellow grade. Recharge Cronstone plus Pity for tapping. Enhanced display. Holy dude, we get to Cronstones and Pity for our Splendids. Lord have mercy. That was going to be one of the best changes ever, because that is what I've wanted for so long. And I will say, as much as this is a good thing, this is definitely an end game, and you have to know what your stats are. So if you get a Splendid Stone, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll be better for you than it is in endgame. The reason why is because AP caps at a certain point after there's like a soft cap where you get like big amounts lower level, and then diminishing returns at higher level. So at higher levels, it's okay to trade off 3 AP and potentially go down a bracket to get the bonus stats from Splendid. But just keep in mind that Vel, for most people, is the way to go. But up until like you're past 350 AP on your sheet, that's when it's probably a good idea to upgrade into Splendid, when you can get rid of some of that. So this is something I've been asking for a long time. It's coming out in September. I mean, did they really need this long to come out with Cronstoning Alchemy Stones? It is what it is. So Shining Alchemy Stone will have high Pity to remain prestige. I don't think there's any prestige in that. There's like, what, like 3 people got it in 10 years, and those were like hackers from back in the day. I mean, sure, I guess, but Splendid is going to be the endgame one. If you're a newer player or a mid-tier player under 320 AP, stick with Vel. It'll be fine. It is what it is. Sovereign Offhand. This is also a big thing that people have been talking about. Combine Kudum and Nuver stats, and the same ways to get it. 2 pen Black Stars, 1 pen Nuver, and 1 pen Kudum. Or the Gem of Primordial, which is like the 20 or 100 things you get from the Morning Light bosses all the time. So for most people, we probably already have one of these, and probably have close to 100, if not more, for the Primordial thingy. And then I don't... Is this how you got it? What is the Gem of Twilight? Like, how do you get that one? I don't know. That's probably a new item. And then the Pen and Oklo, same as standard. Kind of excited for this. There's always been a lot of discussion on how they should balance the offhand. And like with Sovereign, they're really getting rid of class diversity. But I mean, I think the offhand was probably the hardest one to come up with equal stats. You know what made Kudum and Nuver, or like Black Star and Nuver separate, was one was more PvP orientated and one is PvE. But now with Sovereign, it's like, it's just there's no diversity anymore. But it is what it is. Tier 11 horse. Combine all your 3 horses. So if you have the Krogdalo Sanctuary, you just basically get 11. It does all the 3 in one combined. Cool. So basically, what happens with the tier 11? You get to triple glide, drift cancel as usual instead of 2. With the Doom effect, you could do it 3 times. So you do that with the other one, and you could fly and run on water. So basically, there's nothing particularly new, but you get a combined tier 11. Instead, what I was hoping for is, the Voltarion horse, the like Thunder one. I wish they made that one a little bit easier to get for people who don't do PvP or endgame, what are those, the Rift Shrines or whatever. You know what they could do? Have a chance to add it from your weekly Rift bosses. It's still going to take a while, but at least it would be more of an option for that one. So PvP. They are changing numbers and formulas for everything. Accuracy rate removed from skills. Rip. Added 18 accuracy mastery for passive skills. Dude, like, accuracy is literally what made some classes. Like, you know how there are some classes that have evasion, there's some with accuracy, more health, more tanky. But now they're just giving accuracy to everyone. So, like, basically Dark Knights, whatever. Like, this is a weird conversion. We'll see what happens when it happens, but just reading about it, not the greatest thing. Accuracy rate on passives stay the same. Extra human damage only applies to humanoid monsters. Now it's a PvE only crystal thing. So for special things like the Byung PvE Shrine, various other grind spots, added a new extra damage for character. This is such an unnecessary thing, not gonna lie. You know what they could have done? Just revamped or tweaked the numbers on it, and then not add a different item to the game. But it is what it is. That's just like extra work to make Pearl Abyss seem like they're actually doing something, but it is what it is. This is such a weird change. Summon stronger at night removed. I'm not gonna lie that for the longest time I didn't even know this was affected. But yeah, that's interesting. All right, remove PvP resistance. Removed resistance in PvP. Yeah, honestly, sometimes resistances feel like it's 50-50. I think people say this is probably a bad thing, but I think this is a fine change. Like, if you were going to get grabbed anyway, it's gonna happen. So, wind up animation for grabs. Now people actually have to look at what's happening instead of just getting grabbed from randomly, which is, I think, which classes are able to grab you from range. That's annoying. Now you can actually telegraph it. That's good. Ignore and resist grapple removed entirely. So if you have something now, it'll be exchanged to silver. What the conversion rate is, who knows? But I mean, I think this is overall a good change. Will it add more diversity in PvP? No, but I mean, I think this is overall a good change. Because every time you probably had capped resistances and you still got grabbed and it tilted you. So now that you know that everyone is on an equal playing field, I think that's fine. Class modifier change. Class modifiers moved into 3 groups. Succession and Awakening separate. Mouse movement removed to resolve desync. This is one thing that if you are not a Zerker player, this is amazing. Because have you ever fought or dueled a Zerker and they just like mouse move turn on you and just like, how do you even do that? So yeah, I think this is overall a good thing. Monster Zone AP overhaul. After 310, you get +5 monster AP per AP. So once again, an end game thing. And below cap equals worse loot. Above cap equals move to the next grind spot with higher AP. Yeah, It's not really particularly a new thing. That's just like how it should be in the game. Like, why are you grinding a lower end spot unless there's a treasure item? Which, you know, Pearl Abyss, you know what that means. You know, rich merchant ring grinding. Move those to the higher end spots. DP can be overcome with skills, so no DP requirement for monster zones. DP requirement for challenge-based things like dungeon and boss splits, and the stat requirement for... Ugh. This is such a weird change. Like, what's the point of gearing if all it matters for is dungeons and boss splits, which we only have... Like, it's a once-a-week thing that takes, like, 2 hours. But grinding is a majority, so... I think if you're a newer player, this is good, but if you're someone that has max gear already, like Tet and Fallen God and everything, this just seems like, what's the point of gearing if this happens? Just why? That's kind of weird. I think overcome DP can be overcome with skills, so no DP requirement for monster zones. Not like how it is right now, but like more or less, but now it's going to be even easier. I don't know how I feel about that one, to be honest. Didn't really seem that great. All right, new content. Idania, new region, I believe, with well, I don't know if it's a new region, but it's like new stuff they're adding. Two-part release. Okay, so it is a new region, new stuff. New grind spots for endgame players. Didn't they just say that they're removing the DP requirement? So I assume this is 350 AP, 427 AP DP. What happened to removing the DP requirement for everything? Wild. 1 weekly boss from 5 boss. Okay. Reformed existing Dekia artifacts and lightstones. Combining stuff, new drafts. We'll worry about this more when we actually get there, but I think overall this is just welcome to the new Endgame Grind. So new armor pieces that go past Fallen God, and like I think this is just, you know, instead of pen, it goes to deck now. And if you thought the Cronstone journey was bad now, it's even worse going forward. But this time it has a glow. Oh, what in the world? Grind. I don't think this is the way to do it. Like, I don't think grind is bad, but when the goal is Cronstone progression, I really think they need to come up with like more activities than just grinding. Like, I've been saying that for years now, but reading this confirms my belief. All right. So AP adjustment for everyone who is under Oct for Sovereign Main Hand and Awakening. People like me, I just get the bonus. For anyone else, it's just more AP progression. So I think this is good. And if you have Reformed, then you get more AP and accuracy. I think that's fine. A free Garmoth's Heart for everyone that cannot be traded. So I guess if you have a Garmoth's Heart right now, you might want to sell that, so if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think it's fine. New content for all of this. I think we'll read more about this when it happens, because they talked about this more in the live stream, but it wasn't really like detailed enough, so we'll find out. New class, Wukong. What is it? Mobile had this for a long time, and now it's coming to PC and I believe console soon, TM. So we kind of all predicted this. Yeah. Then they also have a new class, like, was it a warrior? Female warrior? To be honest, I thought female warrior was Valkyrie, but apparently they're gonna make actual female warrior. It's called the Savior. two new classes. I'm more excited about the warrior than the Wukong, not gonna lie, but I'll play both of them as usual. Masterclass tournament, and for like very specific ones, I don't think this is a new one. It's just like they've hosted this before. And then here are the codes, which were on screen the whole entire time. Basically, cron stones, bunch of hammers. I don't know where they got 7 hammers from. Oh, this is login rewards. Okay, that's different. From the codes, you get 3 hammers, and then 20k crons, and then a bunch of fail stacks. So this needs to be updated. And then that was a TLDR. So, with that said, overall, I think there's a lot of good changes, a lot of, you know, weird changes like that AI thing. Life skillers, you didn't really get anything. That's unfortunate. PvE feels like it's more for the end game, which is what it is. So overall, I think that, in my opinion, this fall was kind of a disappointment. It's bad when players can predict what kind of content is coming out instead of the devs using their creativity to be like, oh, this is what we're coming out with because this is what we thought of. But instead, players are just like, yeah, we expected this. So anyway, with that said, some good changes, some not so great changes, some weird changes. And yeah, I feel like a few things over here are things that people will probably like. I think that's fine. But overall, kind of disappointing. I wish they added more activities instead of cronstone grinds. So with that said, that's all from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll do another video enhancing. I saved up a bunch of silver, and we're gonna do some fun taps in a bit. So I'll see you guys later. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.